Hello, brave explorers, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most chilling mysteries in history, the Dyatlov Pass incident. 9 experienced hikers went on a winter expedition in the Ural Mountains, and none of them returned. Their tent was shredded from the inside, footprints led into the freezing darkness, and some bodies had injuries so bizarre, no one can explain them. What really happened on that mountain? Stay with me, the truth might shock you. And what if I told you there are secrets about this case that even the Russian government doesn't want you to know? You'd probably assume I was referring to some sort of cover-up. But trust me, this is one of those times where reality really is stranger than fiction. In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers set off into the remote wilderness of Russia's Ural Mountains. But within days, all 9 of them would be dead. And when searchers arrived at the scene, they found things that defied explanation. Now, before we get into the juicy details, I just want to say that this case has generated countless theories over the years, from man-made disasters to paranormal phenomena. And today, we're gonna explore the most shocking ones, so buckle up because this is one wild ride. So these 9 hikers, they weren't some random backpackers. They were experienced outdoorsmen who knew these mountains like the back of their hands. I mean, they'd been planning this hike for months. But little did they know that what started out as an exciting adventure was about to turn into a nightmare. On February 2nd, the group set up camp at the foot of Mount Otorten, and according to their planned schedule, they should have reached their next checkpoint 2 days later. But when they hadn't shown up by February 6th, searchers were sent out to find them. What they found was beyond anything they could have imagined. The tent was torn and slashed as if someone or something had tried to get inside. And nearby, they found the hikers' belongings, including their food and extra clothing. But there was no sign of the hikers themselves. It was as if they had vanished into thin air, but that wasn't even the weirdest part. Over the next few days, searchers began to piece together what had happened to the hikers. One of them was found with their eyes and tongue missing. Another had a skull fracture, but no one had been injured. And even stranger, some of them had broken bones, but none of them had any signs of a struggle. It was as if they had been attacked, but not by human hands. And here's where things get really bizarre. When the clothing of the deceased hikers was examined, many of them were found to have high levels of radiation, suggesting that they had been exposed to a nuclear blast. But this was long before the days of mobile phones and the internet, and no nuclear blast had been reported in the area. To make matters even more suspicious, the Russian government quickly classified the case and sealed off the area, preventing anyone from entering. And while they did release some information to the public, they also conveniently left out some key details. For example, one of the hikers had been found lying face down in the snow with his hands and feet spread wide apart, which led many to believe that he had been trying to crawl away from something. But why? And what was that something? Another hiker was found with a strange zigzag-shaped wound on their chest, which is consistent with the injuries that someone would sustain if they were crushed by a heavy object. But considering that the incident occurred in the middle of winter, how could this have happened? And then there's the most popular theory of them all, the avalanche. It makes sense, right? The hikers could have been trapped under a snowslide, which could explain the crushed body and the missing eyes and tongue. Plus, radiation levels can increase after a landslide because of the movement of rocks and soil. But there's one small problem. The weather reports indicated that there had been no avalanche in the area at the time, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many unanswered questions surrounding this case that it's impossible to come up with a single theory that explains everything. Like, does anyone else think it's weird that some of the bodies had radiation on them, but the government insists that there was no nuclear blast? Personally, I'm a bit skeptical of the government's official story, especially since they've been known to cover up strange occurrences in the past. Just think about all those UFO sightings that have been labeled as Soviet decoys. It's not too far-fetched to think that they might be hiding something. Could this have been some sort of military experiment gone wrong? Maybe they were testing a new weapon and it malfunctioned, causing the avalanche and the radiation. Or perhaps they were trying to develop a new aircraft and it crashed, leaving behind some strange traces of energy. Alright, let's take a step back and think about this. Experienced hikers who ventured into the mountains never returned. Their tent was slashed and their belongings were scattered around. Some of them were found with missing body parts, while others had injuries that defied explanation. And to top it all off, many of them had radiation on their clothing, as if they had been exposed to a nuclear blast that never happened. Given all the evidence, can we really rule out the possibility of paranormal interference? Could there have been some malevolent entity lurking in the shadows, feeding on the hikers' fear and causing them to panic? Or maybe it was the work of some otherworldly creature that had been hibernating in the mountain and was disturbed by the hikers' presence. What do you think really happened on that mountain? Share your theories in the comments below, I'd love to hear them. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe for more chilling mysteries like this. Who knows, maybe one day, someone will finally uncover the truth behind the Dyatlov Pass incident. But until that day comes, its secrets will continue to haunt our nightmares. Thanks for watching, and stay curious.